Operation Iraqi Freedom, launched on March 20, 2003, marked a pivotal moment in the history of the Middle East. This US-led invasion aimed to remove Saddam Hussein from power and dismantle Iraq's alleged weapons of mass destruction program. The stated goals were to liberate the Iraqi people from a brutal dictatorship and prevent the proliferation of dangerous weapons. The world watched as coalition forces stormed into Iraq, setting in motion a chain of events with far-reaching consequences. The decision to invade Iraq was highly controversial, dividing global opinion and sparking intense debates. Supporters argued that removing Saddam was crucial for regional and international security. Opponents questioned the justification for war and warned of potential instability and unintended consequences. Operation Iraqi Freedom would become one of the most significant and debated military interventions of the 21st century. The initial phase of Operation Iraqi Freedom unfolded with remarkable speed. Coalition forces, led by the United States, swiftly overwhelmed Iraqi defenses and advanced rapidly toward Baghdad. The Iraqi military, weakened by years of sanctions and internal strife, proved unable to mount a sustained resistance. Within weeks, Saddam Hussein's regime crumbled and the Iraqi capital fell to coalition forces. The swift collapse of Saddam's government was hailed as a major victory by the Bush administration and its allies. The images of American troops pulling down Saddam's statue in Baghdad became iconic symbols of the war's initial success. However, the celebrations proved premature, as the toppling of a dictator did not translate into a smooth transition to peace and stability. A complex and challenging phase lay ahead. The US military employed a multifaceted strategy in Operation Iraqi Freedom, combining overwhelming air power with a rapid ground offensive. The initial air campaign, known as Shock and Awe, aimed to cripple Iraqi command and control centers and demoralize enemy forces. This was followed by a ground invasion with US and coalition troops advancing on multiple fronts. The strategy also emphasized the use of special operations forces to conduct raids, gather intelligence, and disrupt enemy activities. The US military sought to minimize civilian casualties and collateral damage, but the fog of war and the nature of urban combat made this a constant challenge. The initial successes of the military campaign masked underlying complexities that would soon surface. Operation Iraqi Freedom witnessed several significant military engagements that showcased the capabilities of US and coalition forces. The Battle of Nasiriyah, fought in late March 2003, saw US Marines secure a key bridge over the Euphrates River, opening a crucial supply line for the advance on Baghdad. The Battle of Baghdad, culminating in the fall of the Iraqi capital on April 9, 2003, marked a decisive moment in the war. Another notable engagement was the capture of Saddam Hussein in December 2003. US forces, acting on intelligence, located the former Iraqi dictator hiding in a hole near his hometown of Tikrit. Saddam's capture was a major symbolic victory, removing a figurehead of resistance and marking a turning point in the conflict. However, the war was far from over. Section 5. The unforeseen insurgency, a turning point. The initial euphoria of victory soon gave way to a sobering reality, the emergence of a fierce and persistent insurgency. Following the collapse of Saddam's regime, a power vacuum emerged, creating fertile ground for various armed groups to thrive. These groups, motivated by a mix of ideologies, grievances, and opportunistic ambitions, launched attacks against coalition forces and Iraqi civilians. The insurgency caught many by surprise, both in its intensity and its resilience. The US military, initially focused on conventional warfare, had to adapt quickly to counter the tactics of a shadowy enemy. The insurgency transformed Operation Iraqi Freedom from a war of liberation into a complex counterinsurgency campaign, demanding a different set of strategies and resources. One of the most controversial aspects of Operation Iraqi Freedom was the failure to find weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. The Bush administration had cited the threat posed by Saddam's alleged WMD program as a primary justification for the invasion. However, despite extensive searches, no stockpiles of chemical, biological, or nuclear weapons were ever found. The absence of WMDs fueled criticism of the war, with opponents arguing that the Bush administration had misled the public and the international community. The intelligence failures surrounding Iraq's WMD program became the subject of intense scrutiny and debate. The failure to find WMDs remains a contentious issue, casting a shadow over the legacy of Operation Iraqi Freedom. The invasion of Iraq had a profound and lasting impact on the country and the region. The removal of Saddam Hussein's regime, while welcomed by many Iraqis, also unleashed a wave of sectarian violence and political instability. The country struggled to establish a functioning democracy, grappling with challenges such as corruption, militias, and foreign interference. The war also had significant humanitarian consequences, with countless Iraqi civilians killed or displaced. The conflict exacerbated existing tensions in the region, fueling sectarianism and empowering extremist groups. The long-term impact of Operation Iraqi Freedom on Iraq and the Middle East remains a subject of ongoing analysis and debate. Operation Iraqi Freedom stands as one of the most consequential and controversial military interventions in recent history. The war toppled a dictator but failed to achieve its stated objective of finding weapons of mass destruction. It ushered in a new era in Iraq, marked by both hope and turmoil. The legacy of Operation Iraqi Freedom is complex and multifaceted, with no easy answers or simple narratives. The war sparked intense debates about the use of military force, the role of intelligence, and the challenges of nation-building. It highlighted the human costs of war, both for those who fight and those who live in the conflict zone. Operation Iraqi Freedom serves as a stark reminder of the complexities of international relations and the unintended consequences of military intervention. Operation Iraqi Freedom offers valuable lessons for policymakers, military leaders, and citizens alike. It underscores the importance of careful planning, accurate intelligence, and a clear understanding of the political and cultural landscape of the region. The war highlights the challenges of nation-building and the need for a comprehensive approach that addresses security, governance, and economic development. Perhaps the most enduring lesson of Operation Iraqi Freedom is the human cost of war. The conflict resulted in the deaths of thousands of US and coalition forces, as well as countless Iraqi civilians. It left a legacy of physical and psychological scars that will take generations to heal. As we reflect on Operation Iraqi Freedom, we must remember the sacrifices made and strive to learn from the mistakes of the past.